Welcome back to Case Documentaries. If you didn't know, I post true crime, disturbing stories, and other things that you may later regret knowing. 50% of you aren't yet subscribed, so double check that isn't you right now. Psst. Join the Dark Case family in a circle over on Patreon. When you join, you will gain access to exclusive documentaries, a credit and thank you in every single Dark Case video, priority case suggestions, exclusive updates and a peek behind the scenes, and most exciting of all, you will gain access to the private Dark Case Discord server, which is kind of like a chat room for inner circle members only. Membership is just $5 per month. Cancel anytime. If your name is on screen right now, you're a legend. Let's get straight into today's Dark Case. Madyson Middleton was born on the 5th of October 2006. In Mountain View, California, United States. The kind and funny girl was born to Michael Middleton and Laura Jordan. She was also adored and loved by Dan Middleton, her grandfather. Madyson, or Maddy as she was normally known, stood out with her cheeky smile, freckled face, and was known as a happy child, free and full of life. She moved to Santa Cruz with her parents, a move that seemed to be best for the family. But instead, it would see them sharing an apartment complex with a real-life monster. Santa Cruz is a beautiful city on the central California coast. It has a long wharf, eateries and restaurants, and shops that stretch into the Monterey Bay. With a population of around 65,000, it has a picturesque beach, along with a boardwalk and vintage fair rides. It's somewhere that tourists love, as well as being a haven for its regular inhabitants. Nothing about Santa Cruz could have prepared anyone for the tragic, ugly incident that happened in 2015. Madyson left her home in the apartment building on the 25th of July 2015. Unknowingly to her mother, she hadn't just wandered off. Instead, she had been lured away, but nobody knew where. Mother Laura Jordan quickly realized that Maddy wasn't where she should be. Her heart dropped in her chest. She immediately reported her daughter missing. Police scrambled to locate her alive and well, but everything was not as it seemed. Remember, Maddy hadn't just run away from home. Instead, she had been asked to attend a birthday party at the Tannery Art Center, although she wasn't immediately keen on the idea. After all, stranger danger had been drilled into her to convince her that it would be worth sneaking away from her home. The person had told her that there would be lots of ice cream at a birthday party, an offer that Maddy just couldn't resist. But who was the male that had convinced her to leave the safety of her home? After 5 p.m, Maddy was seen riding a micro-scooter with the male. He looked quite young, probably a teenager, an age gap that if you watch enough of these videos, should make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The male had dark hair and was otherwise unremarkable. Witnesses, along with CCTV, saw Maddy with her long hair pulled to the side in a braid, and she seemed to be enjoying the ride. The male was soon identified as Adrian Gonzalez. To an outsider, he seemed like a normal kid, and there was hardly any trace of a troubled history. So perhaps he was responsible for Maddy leaving her home, but then she ran off and became lost, or was taken by someone else.
What can you tell us about what she was doing out here?
She was riding her brand new scooter. It's a white Razor. She had a black helmet on, she was wearing a purple dress, and she was just happy as could be riding around.
Now, did you check with friends to see if she was with them?
Absolutely. We've searched the entire tannery, door to door. Officers have gone door to door, every loft. We've looked at cameras. We've had search parties all night long.
Is there anyone else? Is there another friend, an adult friend she might have befriended or anything like that?
Not that I can think of at all.
Has she ever done anything?
Nothing. Never. She's never left tannery property. She knows where she's can and cannot be here. She was, in the courtyard where she was supposed to be. She came over here, and that was the last we saw of her on surveillance.
So where do you go? I mean, I just got to ask, how difficult is it knowing that you can't really do any? I mean, you're doing what you can, but...
I already fell apart. Now I'm just in survival mode. I can't explain how difficult this is. Nobody should have to go through this.
The Tannery Arts Centre, where it was said there would be a birthday party and the ice cream, is where Gonzalez worked as a counsellor, and there he was generally respected among his peers. So what did happen to Maddy? So far this doesn't fully add up. Gonzalez was within eyeshot of the policeman when they started looking for Maddy Middleton after the alert went out. The 15-year-old, who had an obsession with yo-yos and writing dark notes, was seen consistently around the area of the search. He didn't seem to have any concern that he himself would be suspected, let alone ever be arrested. In fact, he even injected himself into the investigation. He went up to an officer and asked them what they were looking for, or if they had found what they needed to see. It was commonplace to see darker pictures and commentary on his Instagram profile, but he was 15, so perhaps that's not that unusual. However, around the time that Maddy went missing, he would share some ominous posts. He shared a post of the song Mad World by Gary Jules. The song that featured on a 2001 film Donnie Darko was not the cheeriest of songs, and perhaps the film itself was significant. After all, the title character did have dreams surrounding death, and underneath the video were lyrics from the song. They read, "The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had." Gonzalez's obsession with death did seem to run deeper than people otherwise thought, and indeed this post could be seen as both ominous and troubling. 2 days after this post, and 2 days after Maddy was reported missing, her body was sadly discovered. She had been stuffed into a trash bag and discarded as rubbish. The location was in the very same building that she was reported missing from. Adrian Jerry Gonzalez, or AJ as he was otherwise known, was subsequently arrested, much to the shock of local residents. At first, those that knew him dismissed the case as being an intentional murder, saying that it might have been a game that went awfully wrong, but that he wouldn't have done it on purpose. Whatever happened must have happened close to home. Maddy can't have made it very far. We heard that it was possibly a horrible accident, that something went all wrong. Whoever it was young enough to be frightened and tried to hide the scene. The words of local resident Jeannie Cartibiano in a phone interview with the Washington Post. However, details soon surfaced that pointed towards Gonzalez having murderous intent and having planned the kidnap and eventual murder of Maddy. She stood at just 4 feet tall and weighed just 48 pounds. Following the investigation and arrest, Santa Cruz District Attorney Jeff Rosell announced that he was charging Gonzalez as an adult for murder, for kidnapping, and for sexual assault. According to a criminal complaint, Maddy was never taken to the tannery for ice cream. She was at an age where she could have easily trusted anyone, and there was really no reason for her to not believe Gonzalez's intentions were pure. Instead though, she was taken to his apartment, and there he not only tied her up, but took her by surprise, knocking her unconscious to ensure that she didn't cry for help. To help keep her quiet, Gonzalez also used duct tape on her mouth to hold it closed. He then violated her in a prolonged attack. After attempting to manually throttle her, he instead used a sharp implement and dragged it across her neck. Maddy's time on this earth, sadly, came to an end. To show that he was conscious of what he had done and that he wanted to preserve himself, he stuffed her into a waste bag and carried the body down into the communal waste room. After that, without a care in the world, AJ Gonzalez took a picture of himself and posted it to Instagram. Neighbors were surprised and shocked to discover that AJ could be capable of any of this. He had a great reputation at the tannery and was really loved by the people there. A local resident said, "He was our poster child." A neighbour added, "He's just a normal kid who hangs out on the levee with other kids and plays with his yo-yo all day long. He doesn't strike a chord as being a killer." Upon news of the accusations aimed at Gonzalez, his Instagram account was flooded with people attacking him because of his alleged actions. His own posts seemed to be incriminating himself. The account was soon deactivated. Hardly had he disposed of the girl's body than Maddy's mother called the police on Sunday evening. This was revealed as he was caught on camera by a surveillance video. The video of him dumping the body was caught on CCTV, and he even visited the spot twice after officers arrived in search of the girl. He repeatedly asked the police if they were making any progress. Aside from that, Gonzalez kept pestering Sotoro Garcia, another resident, with questions about the search for Maddy's body. Whatever he wanted to achieve was unclear, perhaps some form of gratification, but his lack of genuine emotion just made him a valid suspect in the case. Neighbor Garcia would later worry that Gonzalez kept pestering him and that he seemed to be the only one doing so. There was only one reason for that: he was probably involved. Eventually, when Maddy's body was discovered, AJ Gonzalez was standing close by, watching it all unfold. Although at the time he was charged as an adult, his age meant he would be exempt from the death penalty according to authorities.
Aaron, they started things off by singing happy birthday to Maddy, and family and friends who were there say that they really did feel her presence at that celebration in the park today.
I know that my daughter Madyson is looking out for me, and she's here today with everybody celebrating.
The people who knew and loved Madyson Middleton got together to celebrate her life.
It's been a really scary summer, so we want to give them some fun.
There was face painting, cuddly animals, and the bounce houses. Lots of fun, but the goal here was a kind of collective healing, getting through an incredibly difficult time together, and the kids responded.
Having fun.
And Maddy's personality was in every detail, from the purple cupcakes, one of her favorite desserts, to this painting, sporting her trademark saying, "You better be qualified."
It was just showing her sassiness and her personality and her humor.
In November of 2017, when the trial began, AJ Gonzalez first pleaded not guilty. There were also some controversies about prosecuting him as an adult, because he was only 15 when he committed the crime. By now, 2 years had passed since that fateful Sunday in July of 2015. In a 2016 California Proposition 57, the law was passed that the judge decides if the accused can be prosecuted as an adult, and in this case, it meant that he cannot be sentenced to death, nor given a sentence that an adult would be handed. Gonzalez was sentenced to juvenile prison, but was moved to an adult facility when he turned 25 in 2024. He must also register as an offender, according to the ruling of Santa Cruz County Superior Judge John Salazar. He added that the Senate Bill 1391 prohibits juveniles from being prosecuted as adults, so this limits the penalties that could be imposed on the offender. There is no way for anyone to understand the profound and absolute pain and grief a family experiences under these circumstances, Judge Salazar said. Before the sentencing on April 15th, Gonzalez offered an apology of sorts to Maddy's family. In this apology, he said that he hopes one day to earn their forgiveness. These are some of his words. "I understand there is very little I can say after all the pain and suffering I have caused, and my goal is to work on my issues so no one else has to experience what you have endured. That does not make anything easier, it just allows me peace. The alternative could be to hold on to the darkness, but this would only consume my soul. I refuse to poison my soul and existence. Forgiveness is the only path, and I believe that Madyson would agree." The Middleton family was not convinced. They believed that Gonzalez was simply looking for leniency and that his appeal should not sway the court in their decision and in their bid to uphold justice. People who are following the case disapprove of the judgment which sought to free Gonzalez when he turns 25, as they recognize that there are loopholes in such laws. A Reddit user named SportsJunkie831 said that he doesn't believe that there is any rehabilitation for anyone who commits crimes of this nature. Subsequent comments from other users iterated that it was premeditated and that such a person should not be allowed in society any longer. The court of public opinion is, thankfully, almost always on the side of victims in these cases. The Middletons were of the same opinion that rehabilitation would not work for Gonzalez, and that he should not be allowed to commit such a heinous crime again. Laura Jordan, Maddy's mother, is unsettled about the proceedings. This is a ridiculous law. All the gangs are going to have 14 and 15-year-olds killing people, she said. The proceedings lasted 3 years and 9 months. Mother Laura fears that her father, Bruce Jordan, who had been a part of the proceedings and now is battling brain cancer, may never get to see justice for her granddaughter because his life expectancy is so short. At the time of this video, it is still uncertain if AJ Gonzalez will be released from prison. Be careful out there, and I'll see you soon.